The phone buzzed on the nightstand, its blue glow slicing through the darkness like a blade. Daniel's hand froze mid-reach, the air in the bedroom suddenly thick, as if the walls themselves held their breath. The screen displayed a name, Elliot Work. At 2:17 a.m. Why was his wife's business partner texting her now? His stomach churned, a sour knot tightening as he glanced at Claire, her silhouette soft under the sheets, her breathing steady but not deep enough to convince him she was asleep. The notification vanished, but the weight of it lingered, heavy as the wedding band on his finger. Daniel lay back, the mattress creaking under his shifting weight. The room smelled faintly of Claire's lavender lotion, a scent that once soothed him but now felt like a mask for something sour. He stared at the ceiling, its cracks barely visible in the dim moonlight filtering through the blinds. It's just work, he told himself. Claire and Elliot were neck-deep in a billion-dollar real estate deal, a merger that could cement their firm as the city's elite. Late-night texts weren't unusual in their world of high-stakes law and cutthroat ambition. But the timing gnawed at him, a splinter under his skin. He closed his eyes, willing sleep to drown the unease, but his mind replayed the past few weeks, her late nights, her distracted glances, the way her laughter felt rehearsed. Morning came too soon, the sunlight harsh against the kitchen's marble counters. Claire stood by the coffee maker, her silk robe slipping off one shoulder, her auburn hair catching the light like a flame. "You're up early," she said, her voice light but edged, like she was testing the air between them. Daniel poured cereal into a bowl, the clink of the spoon louder than it should have been. "Couldn't sleep," he muttered, his eyes flicking to her phone on the counter. It sat face down, silent, but it might as well have been screaming. "Everything okay?" she asked, her gaze meeting his for a moment before darting away. She busied herself with the coffee, the machine hissing as if echoing the tension. Daniel wanted to ask about the text, but the words stuck in his throat, heavy with the fear of what her answer might reveal. Instead he said, "Just stressed. Work's been brutal." A lie, but it felt safer than the truth. The day dragged, each hour a slow drip of doubt. At his office, Daniel's computer screen blurred as he replayed every interaction between Claire and Elliot. The way Elliot's hand lingered on her arm at the last company gala, the private smiles they shared during meetings, ones Daniel had dismissed as professional camaraderie. Now those moments felt like clues, jagged pieces of a puzzle he didn't want to solve. He opened his email, half expecting a confession, but found only mundane updates. Still, the unease grew, a shadow spreading across his thoughts. That evening, Claire was late again. The clock ticked past 8, the living room dim except for the flicker of the TV Daniel wasn't watching. He scrolled through her social media on his phone, something he hadn't done in years. Her posts were polished, photos of her and Elliot at industry events, their smiles sharp, their captions all business. But one photo stopped him. Claire laughing, her head tilted toward Elliot, his eyes on her like she was the only person in the room. The timestamp was from last month, a night she'd told Daniel she was working late. His chest tightened, the air in the room thinning. When Claire finally walked in, her heels clicking against the hardwood, she looked exhausted but radiant, her cheeks flushed. "Sorry," she said, dropping her bag by the door. "Elliot needed me to review some contracts." Her voice was smooth, practiced, but her eyes didn't meet his. Daniel's pulse quickened, a drumbeat of suspicion. "At this hour?" he asked, his tone sharper than intended. She froze just for a second before shrugging. "You know how it is. The deal's on a knife's edge." He wanted to believe her. God, he wanted to. But the lie was there, in the way her fingers twitched, in the way she poured wine with too much care, avoiding his gaze. "What's going on with you and Elliot?" The question slipped out, raw and unfiltered, hanging in the air like smoke. Claire's glass paused halfway to her lips. "What?" she said, her laugh brittle, shattering the silence. "He's my partner, Dan. We work together. That's it." But it wasn't. The truth clawed its way to the surface over the next few days, each moment a fresh wound. A receipt in her purse for a hotel bar she hadn't mentioned. A whispered phone call she ended abruptly when he entered the room. The way she flinched when he touched her, as if his hands carried an accusation. Daniel's anger simmered, laced with heartbreak so sharp it stole his breath. He loved her, loved the way she hummed off-key in the shower, the way she dreamed big enough for both of them. But love wasn't enough to silence the questions screaming in his head. He started digging. It felt wrong, like betraying her before she'd betrayed him. But he couldn't stop. He accessed her work email through a shared laptop, his hands shaking as he typed her password, their wedding date. There, buried in a thread marked Deal Updates, was the truth. Emails between Claire and Elliot, professional at first, then intimate, their words dripping with a familiarity that wasn't theirs to share. Meet me tonight. Same place. Miss you already. Each line was a knife, carving away the life Daniel thought they had. The final blow came at a charity gala, the city skyline glittering through the venue's floor-to-ceiling windows. Claire stood across the room, radiant in a black dress, her laughter ringing out as Elliot whispered something in her ear. Daniel watched, his champagne glass cold against his palm, his heart a storm of rage and grief. He could have confronted her then, let the truth explode in front of everyone. But he didn't. Instead, he made a call. Elliot's billion-dollar deal hinged on a single investor, a man Daniel knew through his own network. Over a quiet drink the next day, Daniel shared what he'd found. Not the affair, but enough to plant doubt about Elliot's integrity. A leaked email, a whispered rumor about mismanaged funds. It was enough. The investor pulled out, and the deal collapsed like a house of cards. Elliot's empire crumbled, and Claire's dreams with it. When she came home that night, her face was a mask of devastation. "It's over," she said, her voice hollow. "The deal's dead." Daniel looked at her, the woman he'd loved for a decade, and felt nothing but the ache of betrayal. "I know," he said, his voice steady, though his heart was breaking. "About everything." Her eyes widened, guilt and fear flashing across her face. She didn't deny it. She didn't need to. The truth was there, in the silence between them, in the ruins of what they'd built. Daniel walked out, the door clicking shut behind him, the sound final, like a gavel falling. He didn't look back, but the weight of her betrayal followed him, a shadow he'd carry forever.